It's Do Time with Pastor Steph.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine. You're on with this Do Time with Pastor Steph. How are you this morning? That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. For this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So, where were you all week? We started off the week shaking the Monday morning blues with the Do Time crew, and we talked about some very common phrases that gaslighters love to use. And we started off with, that never happened. Yes, they love to tell you that you're out of your mind. That didn't happen. What's the matter with you? Why are you making things up? You're too sensitive. Yes, every time they drive you to an emotional moment, then they throw in your face that it's you that's too sensitive. You're crazy and other people think so too. Yep, they go and they gather your friends and your family and your people so that you think that you are losing it. Yes, those are just some of the very small things that are really big things that manipulators do, called gaslighters. Yes, it is a very, 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 very common thing. So, be careful that you are not being gaslit, and definitely you are not the one who is gaslighting someone. Well, we got our switch tip for the week. Stop setting yourself back. Well, listen, all those things right there I just got finished saying, yep, those will set you back. If you believe them, or if you're the one that's telling somebody this stuff. Yep, listen, your nasty, evil ways will catch up with you. Please stop doing things that set you back. Can I be honest with you? Only you can set yourself back. And as much as we tell you, be careful of being gaslit and things like that, you're going to have to stay on top of that, because if you don't, yes, you're going to end up setting yourself back. Because I'm going to tell you something. When you finally realize that somebody's been gaslighting you, it's not going to be a pretty thing. It's not going to be a pretty thing for them or you, because you're going to beat yourself up. Oh, how could I have fallen for that? How could I let that happen? Blah, 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 blah. And you're going to take yourself through some emotional turmoil. Yes, it's going to automatically happen, because you're going to spend time trying to figure out when it started, why you let it happen, how long has it been going on, how many other people may have been doing it. If you are the one who is gaslighting people, you're going to be set back, because God's going to make you pay for all the stuff that you've done to people. Yes, all these things when people try to put on the fact that, it's mental illness. It ain't no mental illness. It's pure evil and wickedness. We were born in sin, shaped in iniquity, and this is how we come out the womb. And we only get worse as time goes on. So if we don't choose Jesus, and he's knocking at the door, and we decide we're going to be manipulative and use people and gaslight people, we're going to be set way, way, way behind. Okay. Not only that, learn to take some wise counsel. When you don't take wise counsel, you end up eating all of that, because when you finally wake up one day, come on, somebody, Put in that chat room, give me some thumbs up. When you realize that it's like, yo, I've been a fool all these years. Why I've been doing stupid stuff? It has nothing to even do with the Lord. It's just maturity. When you think about some of the stuff that you used to do and think about how much time you done wasted, you be like, yo, what was I thinking about? Come on, especially those of us that are older. Give me a definite thumbs up if you can definitely attest to the fact that you have set yourself back on a couple of occasions. So listen, take that wise counsel and stop setting yourself back. Okay? All righty now. Well, we also this week talked about other people that have gone to the mega churches and sometimes even smaller churches than that, but they woke up. They woke up, and they just realized that things weren't right. But the bad part was, they stopped going to church. Yes. When they realized that the people in the church were just plain old greedy. Yep, those 100,000 lines and $100 lines. And as Pastor Vinny said, them $1,000 lines. See, Pastor Vinny must have some money, because wherever I go, they know they ain't got no business asking for no $1,000 from us. So therefore, I ain't on them kind of lines, and I definitely can't be going to them kind of churches. So listen, if you hanging out with those kind of people, oh yeah, they're gonna be asking you for some money. What about the people that do the politicking up in the church? They have definitely turned people off. People have definitely stopped going. And those who are power hungry in the church, those church board members, yeah, the ones that, have you known them to kick the pastor out? Oh yes, I have heard some horror stories about these boards up in these churches. They have taken the keys from the pastor, locked them out. Yeah, when they start doing some things that the board does not like. And I ain't talking about nothing bad. I'm just talking about when they can't manipulate the pastor no more. Listen, the pastor was the one who has been called to lead the flock. So I don't quite know how that works, because that show ain't biblical. All right. Well, we were with our girl Vivian and her socially conscious segment this week, and we talked about 1 in 31 children who are diagnosed with autism by their 8th birthday. Now, you know there's something in the milk, the water, the air, and everything else if it's 1 in 31 children. Because check this out, if there are 5 children in this one household alone, that only leaves 26 more kids. And if there's 4 kids over in the next house, minus that, and it just, listen, how many kids on the block have autism? 1 block. Yo, this is crazy. Those numbers are outrageous. And the crazier part is that it's boys more than girls, and blacks and Hispanics more than white people. So listen, we got to figure out what the problem is. Don't you think? Absolutely. And Eric Adams is being sued because they think that he's trying to merge ICE and the prison system. Now, we know we don't need the inmates, the ICE agents, as well as COs on the same premises. I don't think so. No, the Due Time crew said absolutely not. So we definitely gonna get some headlines if that one is coming up. But the headlines have already started because they think that Mayor Eric Adams is behind it all. And guess what? If he ain't, they're gonna blame him anyway. Yo, sometimes it's just the seat that you're in. Woo-wee. And we talked about those police officers that were slumped, not napping, not sleep, slumped, scrumped. Yes, they were knocked out in the break room down in the MTA subway system. So, baby, it's going to be hard for them to tell us that they are patrolling and keeping us safe. Tell that to somebody else who has not seen the video. Well, we then got to talking about the things that you should never tolerate if you respect yourself. RESPCT says that there's not any disrespect in any shape, form, or fashion if you respect yourself. So make sure you don't let people disrespect you. Nah. Being taken for granted. Oh, that's another no. Don't let anybody take you for granted. Once God makes you aware that somebody's taking you for granted and they ain't acting right, go get rid of them. Big time. What about them toxic friendships? Woo, bye-bye. Yes, toxic. They're called toxic for a reason. Yes, and yes. So make sure you get rid of those people. And the unnecessary drama has got to go. Well, let me tell you something. There's a whole lot more things on this list that you should not be doing or allowing if you respect yourself. So I believe we're coming back to this conversation next week, possibly. Well, baby, as you can hear, it was live on and popping over here on this Due Time with Pastor Steph this week. And if you missed any of it, make sure you go back and watch it. Okay, right here on the Closer Walk Christian Talk Show YouTube channel. Or you can always check out the podcast if you're driving and you can't watch, but you can listen. Make sure you check it out on Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, FeedSpot, any streaming service you can get your hands on. Get to listening. If you in the tub, you can get to watching. So make sure you help us get those numbers up, because the podcast numbers are still going up. But the viewership ain't that popping. So we need you to help us tell somebody that it's Due Time with Pastor Steph is on every day, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And make sure you press that subscribe button if you have not already done so. Make sure you check that notification bell if you have not already done so. Make sure you like and share if you have not already done so. Okay. Well, today is Freestyle Friday. We made it, y'all. Oh my goodness. I don't know what kind of week you had. It's been a busy week over here in this household, and I am ready for a Friday at 9:01. I don't know about y'all, but I can't wait till the clock strikes 9 so I can say, hey, I love y'all, but man, this body is tired, and I can't wait to meet with our men today, because I don't know what they got going on in their brains. You know, they always take us for a ride on Friday. And listen, Brother Al is off, which means he's going to be on early, which means that he's going to be on fire. All right, so I hope you're ready, because I sure am. But I'm going to tell you one thing, they're going to wear me out today, and it's going to finish off my week. So go ahead and get that healthy breakfast. Go ahead and tell somebody, anybody, that it's Due Time with Pastor Steph is on. And whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because we will be right back with my music.
Expected the richest woman in California to be black, but Mary Ellen Pleasant didn't need permission to rewrite her own origin story. Born August 19th, 1814, possibly in Georgia or Philadelphia, Mary Ellen Pleasant's past was layered in mystery. Some say she was born free, others into slavery. What is certain? She became a self-made millionaire before Madam C.J. Walker was even born. She helped fund the Underground Railroad, supported John Brown before his Harper's Ferry raid, and moved west during the California Gold Rush, using intelligence, cooking skills, and eavesdropped conversations to build an empire. She hid her wealth behind aprons, posing as a housekeeper while investing in real estate, banking, and boarding houses. By the 1870s, she and her partner Thomas Bell amassed a fortune worth $30 million, equal to hundreds of millions today. In 1866, she sued San Francisco streetcar companies and won. They called her Mammy, but she insisted, "My name is Mrs. Mary Pleasant. Put that down." Why do you think Mary Ellen Pleasant's legacy was buried beneath rumor and racism? This is our history, and this journey is just beginning.
Good morning, and good morning again. Welcome back to It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Now, we got to tell Shanti, stop cutting the music before I finish talking, because I always wait for my music to get me up out of here, okay? So put that in the chat room. Shanti, stop cutting the music off. I wait for that little cue, okay? Okay, y'all. Have my back. Good morning. And it is Freestyle Friday, y'all. Thank God, giving God thanks that we made it, because everybody didn't, but we did. God is amazing, because we ain't got into no traffic accidents. Nobody hit us with a car. We woke up after going to sleep overnight. No hurt, harm, or danger. Yo, God is amazing. So let's celebrate that this morning. Okay? Well, listen, if you're in the room, you know you got to check in with Pastor Steph. Okay? You know you got to check in. Wait, which way do I want to go? I want to go that way. Yeah, because I'm running out of space here. Yeah, my head shouldn't hit that. Yeah, there we go. All right, let's say good morning to Miss Ketty. Hey, Ketty girl. Thank you so much for joining us. Terrence is in the room. Thank you, Terrence, for joining us this morning. Hey, Serge. Are they still sleeping? Hey, Serge. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Good morning, Miss Charlene. I'm glad you're doing well and you are on with us this morning. Hey, Ketty and Miss Charlene both agree with me. So, hey, thank you for them thumbs up. Hey, Tamika, you traveled safely. I'm taking it. Thank God that you're back. And good morning. Missed you, girl. Oh, we got our girl, Vivian, in the house. Good morning, Vivian. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, you know we got to give a shout out to the ladies that make it happen, and is why we're live each and every morning on YouTube and live on Facebook. Let's say good morning to our ladies. Shantice, hey, Shantice. And we want to say good morning to the lady who always takes care of us before and during work. Good morning, Anika. How are you? Thank you, ladies. Could not do it without you. All righty. So you know how we do on Friday mornings, always some level of some type of trivia or stories people tell us or things people reveal. So this morning, we got those red flags that people who were cheated on missed, but now are telling us hindsight is 2020. If you've got some stuff that you realize went down after you were cheated on and you completely missed it while they were cheating on you, make sure you drop it in the chat room. Listen, it's your former life. Ain't nobody holding it against you. All right. Shanti's got the health tips. Yeah, this is the health tips. Don't be a fool. All righty. Let's see. She surprisingly stopped getting mad every time I did something. Yep. You come on, ladies. Come on. Y'all know how it go down. You ain't got to worry about it no more. He ain't getting upset. Them things don't bother him. when you go back and you start thinking about stuff, boy, all the lights start going off and you be like, yo, that's why he was doing that. Yes, 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 yes. That's what we're going through this morning. So come on. We got to keep Shantice at bay, because you know how she get when she start thinking about stuff. So listen, where's Terrence? Terrence, get the rope. We have to tie her down. Oh, because we don't know what we done touched on this morning. Suspiciously out of nowhere, started sending me nudes or lewd pics while at work, the mail or the mall, bathrooms, etc. Guess I wasn't the only one receiving those. I guess it was pretty smart though. Okay. Sending me on trips or random outings. He paid for me to take a weekend trip so that he and his side chick could spend uninterrupted time together. Would surprise me with spa days or pay for me to get my nails done so that he could have sex with her in her bed. Oh my goodness, because she lived with her parents. And yes, she knew about me. The thought that she would be in our room while I was talking to him on the phone with him still haunts me. I will never get over that. Stop saying that. Yes, you will, because God's going to erase all of that from your mind if you let him. Yeah. That'll be a distant memory. Yeah, it will. Yo! But for right now, let's remember that thing and let's warn some other people about this stuff. All right. Woo-wee. Are we getting started off this morning? Got really distant. I thought he was just going through a depressive episode. We both struggled with it. Talked about a coworker in passing, not even a wild amount, but he never cared about his coworkers before. She went on a trip to her home country and he brought home a lot of snacks that she had brought back. I said, gee, this is a lot. And he said, yeah, no one else wanted it, so I took it all. Yo, men are trifling. They are straight trifling. Why is it so far all the women are talking? Where the men at? See, this is why Shantice is still labeling this health tips, because this is good for our health. We won't fall for the okie doke no more, right? Woo-wee! I'm lit this morning. I don't know. Oh, how seemingly small things I did. Okay, here's from the mail. How seemingly small things I did annoyed her suddenly. Like she was building a case to justify hurting me. Immediately after the cheating, however, she was super nice to me, took me out for food and drinks, love bombed me. Even then, I felt like something was off. Stopped taking care of her part of the chores. Her mind seemed elsewhere. Super touchy about her phone. It all made sense in hindsight. Of course. Woo! The sex literally just stopped overnight after a night out with her girlfriends. She got cold, distant, angry at even the slightest questioning over what was going on. I just assumed things were rough at work, so I ignored it for 2.5 years. Oh, Lord have mercy. Woo! More like I let her gaslight me, if we're being honest. After 3 years, I called it off. Turns out she messed with somebody on the night out with her girlfriends 3 years prior, when it all dropped off, and for at least the final 7 months of the relationship, she was having an affair, although I now suspect it was significantly longer. Yo, women are trifling too. Don't misunderstand me, because man, we know how to get it done and you'll never, ever, ever suspect it. The one I looked back on for a long time ago that I was surprised I didn't catch is that my cat, who was very wary of other people, would casually lay down on the couch next to my neighbor when he would visit. Ooh. Yo, the cat gave it up. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, Terrence, we can't trust anybody. Mm-mm-mm. She was always worried and made up these outlandish conspiracies that I was cheating on her. And in the end, she had been cheating on me for years. Seems obvious now looking back. Yeah, they always say the one that does all the accusing. Yeah, they accuse him for a reason. Y'all ready for this one? Somebody told me this. His hygiene improved. And he started acting so different. Even his family assumed he was struggling with his sexual identity. Turns out he was just cheating with his friend's fiance. And I guess she was just into that. Yo, people are trifling. Oh my goodness gracious. Wait, we got some stuff. We got some long stuff up in this chat room. So let me see what they talking about. Anika says, I need some of your energy this AM, Pastor. Yeah, I don't know what happened, Anika. I don't know, girl. Child, as Mariah would say, can't trust anybody. That's right, Terrence. We all probably had at least one trifling relationship. Had my share. Yeah, me too. All right. Tamika said, I often heard a vroom vroom of a motorcycle that sounded vaguely like his. I ignored it for months. One day I followed the sound around the corner to find him in a life or death grope with another woman. I guess he needed resuscitation and she was his help. Yo! Woo! A nigga says, yes, I can relate to the hygiene changes. Yo, my goodness gracious. Kenny says, that's how I found out my husband was cheating because he took those long showers. Yo, that's crazy, y'all. That is so crazy. So crazy. All right. Another, talking briefly about his past girlfriends. I brought up one and was like, whatever happened to her? And almost too fast, he said, I don't know. We just lost contact. It turns out he was talking to her that whole time and seeing her when he went out of town. Yo. Going out or alone more often, not wanting sex as often, changing sheets on the bed more frequently. Another one in your bed? Oh my gosh. Taking more care of themselves, exercising, different hairstyle. New female friend that's not married or wanting to have girls' nights. Child. Remember the old Instagram days where there was a section that showed what people liked? She'd like photos of her ex that had her in them and gaslit me when I confronted her. I was young, and as it was my first real relationship, I tried to hold on to it even if deep down I knew what was going on. Yeah, set healthy limits. If they pull that kind of stuff, odds are that this love of your life of yours is just a life lesson. So learn from that and grow to find a healthier relationship. Ooh. All right. And last but not least, she looked mortified when I surprised her and brought her brownies during her lunch break. Then was strange about the usual amount of PDA, introduced me by my first name, and was careful not to call me her boyfriend. Wow. Yo was going down on the job. Terrence says, can't even get mad at anyone, just got to change it to charge it to the game. Who says I ain't gonna get mad? Terrence, you living in another world because I'm mad. I'm mad just reading this stuff here. All right. New female friends means cousins. All right. Yes, Anika, watch out for those cousins. Oh, my goodness. Well, all right, y'all. Let's see what the news is talking about. You know what it is today. Today, we do our celebrity news or whatever's going on TV and film, the movies or whatever it is. We talk about that stuff. Well, Shantice will be one who will definitely enjoy this one. They say much better late than never. BET Plus green lights Martin spinoff series. Did you miss me? Yes, the Varnell Hill show starring Tommy Davidson. Yes. Shaboing boing. Yes. Shanti's probably going to kill me for that one. Yes, Tommy Davidson is going to reprise his role as Varnell Hill. And he's going to have his own show. Yes, I'm sure he's going to have Martin come through, Why not? Why shouldn't you? Why wouldn't you have Martin come through? Yes, it's going to be a BET show. And they are definitely going to do it. Yeah, it's not a should we, could we, would we. No, they going to do it. Yes. So they say that stay tuned. Check out the social media information because Tommy Davidson is coming down the pipeline. All righty. What else are we talking about? Guess what else is coming down the pipeline? For you TLC fans, no scrubs, just legends. Yeah. Crazy, Sexy, Cool, the musical. Yeah. The ladies are getting their own musical. And they say it's going to be power driven with some of their main multi-platinum hits. Ain't Too Proud to Beg, Waterfalls, Creep, Unpretty, and of course, No Scrubs. They say they are not going to not include some of the scandal that has gone on in their history. And they are going to have some of those explosive creative clashes. Yeah, they're going to talk about that as well. And of course, tragedies. And they say they're going to mix a little bit of fiction with the reality to make it a little spicier. So, that should be interesting. They say that both T-Boz and Chili are definitely excited about this upcoming musical. They say they've waited all their lives for this. And Crazy Sexy Cool, the musical, will make its world premiere at Arena Stage in Washington, D.C., June 2026 for 8 weeks as part of their 75th anniversary season. And look out for it. Look out for it. I mean, I believe it's going to be, people are going to go see this. I think they're really going to be interested and they're going to go seek it out. So whether it stays in Washington or if it travels, I think they're going to sell out. I really think so. Let me know. What do you think? Give it a thumbs up if you think, people are going to go, excuse me, see it. Give it a thumbs up if you are going to go see it. And I have to be honest, I wouldn't mind as long as the prices were reasonable. I wouldn't mind going and paying for this. I would go just to check out the optics and to see what they put out there. Yeah, might be interesting. All right. Well, I think this is going to make Shantice happy again. Martin Lawrence is coming back with a sequel to Blue Streak. Yes, of all movies, Blue Streak is coming back. It is a definite go. Now, here's something that I learned that I did not realize. They say that Blue Streak, they say it was an instant hit and grossed 120 million worldwide. I didn't realize it made that much money. Yeah. Well, it's definitely going to keep with the same premise that you remember. He went to jail for trying to, rob for that diamond. And when he got out, he buried the diamond in the building. And when he got out, the building was now a police precinct. Same premise. And they're looking forward to it. They're looking forward to it. This is definitely one that's coming back too. This is not one of those. Maybe no. This is they've signed on. They have definitely signed on. They made notice that with the Ride or Die, Bad Boys Ride or Die, making 403 million globally. That's what pushed him and Will back into the box office seats. Yeah. Will needed that comeback, to see if people still loved him after he slapped up, Chris Rock. But listen, like I said, that was only going to be momentary because Will Smith is a box office hit. They weren't going to let that go by too full. Somebody's going to pick him up. And they said with the success of that last Bad Boys, that really pushed them back into the box office. So there you have it. Blue Streak is coming back. All right. I see Ketty and Shantice say if the price was right, they'd go see the TLC musical. So yeah, I would. I definitely would. What else are we talking about? All right. Well, on to some news. For those of you who are trying to get their taxes together, and for those of you who need to pay them taxes, they have extended the tax day for a few states: Georgia, Alabama, Florida, North and South Carolina. Both of your tax deadlines, all of your tax deadlines have been extended to May 1st. So you got a little bit of breathing room. They say that some business returns are also extended. Calendar year 2024 partnership and S corporation returns normally due on March 17th. Those are extended. Quarterly estimated tax payments normally due on April 15th have been extended. And calendar year 2024 corporate and fiduciary income tax returns and payments normally due on April 15th. All righty. Now, for those who are in Georgia, you're eligible for your deadline if you're an affected taxpayer, and that's individual whose principal residence is located in a covered disaster area and their spouse if filing jointly, business entities or sole proprietors whose principal place of business is located in a covered disaster area, relief workers affiliated with government or philanthropic organizations assisting in a covered disaster area, and taxpayers not located in a disaster area but whose records necessarily meet a deadline to perform certain acts are maintained or located in a covered tax area. And any individual visiting a covered disaster area who was killed or injured as a result of the disaster, or any other person determined by the IRS to be affected by a federally declared disaster. Now, I was kind of surprised that they didn't talk about California, because didn't we just finish with them having all of those fires and people were like burned out and things like that? So I was kind of surprised. I was kind of surprised that they did not talk about them. All right. What else are we talking about? Ooh, okay. So we got some interesting information here. Now, the Supreme Court, they say they're acting very fishy, very fishy. Now, remember, they were trying to rehire rather, the federal workers who Trump got rid of. And the Supreme Court said, no. Yeah, they put a hold on that. So they cannot be rehired right now. And they are really suspicious because they are calling the Supreme Court Trump's personal judges. Yeah. So they are not happy. The fact that they blocked an order for the thousands of federal employees who were let go during the massive layoffs to return to work. For whatever the reason is, they've put a hold on that. And they say that your girls, Sotomayor, and what's the other one? Ketanji. Am I saying her name right? Yeah, Ketanji Brown Jackson. They claim they would have signed off on it, that they were ready to sign off on it. But I guess when the scales were kind of off kilter, and they were the only two that their little votes didn't mean anything. Now you're talking about one black and one brown. So they understand what it is when you need your job. But everybody else sitting on those benches, they didn't care. They also say that the court paused an order restoring grants for teacher training and lifted an order that froze deportations under an 18th century wartime law. So they are showing that it's rigged. It's rigged because you're pausing another area. Why would you pause teacher training? Well, if he's trying to get rid of the Department of Ed, why? Why wouldn't you? Right? But they lifted the deportation issue. So who knows what's going on? They are claiming that he is behind all of this. And you know what? Here's the sad part about it. You really can't say he's not. That's how bad it is. That's how bad it is that, when you even hear these things, you can't, you don't even have the confidence of saying, you know what, well, maybe, that doesn't sound like him, or that's kind of weird. No, you can just put a stamp on that thing and go, that probably is him. Now, I don't know if some of you have even heard of this one here, because I hadn't heard of this. They say that Chase is going after some of their clients because there was some ATM technical malfunction last year. I ain't heard nothing about this. And they call it an infinite money glitch. Now, again, I don't know. Maybe y'all heard about this. I don't know. But here's the deal. They say that last October, they started filing some federal lawsuits because there was some funny money games going on with some of their customers. Now, the weird part about it is, I don't even know how these people found out, but this is what you could do. They claim that they had a glitch where people could write a fake check, deposit it into the ATM, and withdraw cash over the course of a week when some of the money was available, but before the check bounced. And they say that's known as check kiting and is, of course, illegal. And they have one particular man who deposited a $73,000 check and put it into his account. And he was able to take out $82,000 before the check bounced. And they say that he owes them $58,000 and he has not complied with requests to return the cash. Now, this is not the only bank that this actually ended up happening to, but Chase got hit really, really hard. So they are actually going after all these people for this money. Now, why would you bother? Desperate people, stupid, when like they're not gonna find out who you are. You deposited it into your bank account, dummy. So of course they know who you are. So they have put out the word that Chase is coming after you with a vengeance, and you can get, I think they said, up to 10 years in jail for this. Yeah. Well, let me tell you something. You better pay this money back before Trump gets a hold of it. Because if he gets involved, you leaving this country. Trust me when I tell you. Because I didn't pick up the article, but I had a glance at an article where he's trying to send American criminals to other countries. And let me tell you something. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. And last but not least, speaking of being in the wrong place at the wrong time, you've got a young man, 20 years old, Juan Carlos Lopez Gomez. See, that's what you get for naming your kids like 100 different Spanish names. Why you gotta have so many names? Well, he was in a car that was pulled over where the driver was driving 78 in a 55 or 60 something area, and they all got picked up. Now, the way the person wrote the paper was, they said that when he gave his ID, the driver didn't have ID. But when he was the passenger, when this 20-year-old gave his ID, that one who wrote it out said that he claimed he was illegal. Who's going to say they illegal? You see, listen, wrong place, wrong time. He's actually American born. He was born in Georgia. He spent between ages 1 and 4 in another country, but they brought him back. He's been here ever since. He's got a United States birth certificate. He's got a social security card. And when they took the paperwork in, he is still sitting in jail. There was a judge. She sounds like she could be on our side of the fence. Judge LaShawn Riggins. She verified. They said she held it up to the light. She said there's the watermark that's there that proves that this is a valid birth certificate. The social security card, as far as she was concerned, was legit. But ICE is shutting her down. They are not paying her any attention. They are still holding that boy sitting up in jail. Y'all keep playing around with Chase's money. They're going to turn your name in, and you're going to be sitting over there in jail with the 20-year-old that is American born. His family can't do nothing. See that, mama right there. She is pouring out her tears because her son is sitting behind bars at 20 years old. He is a United States citizen, and it doesn't matter because they have overruled the judges. Even DeSantis, this happened in Florida, even Ron DeSantis signed an order for certain things to be passed, where some of this deportation stuff should be shut down. That's been overruled as well in this case. They are shutting even him down. So they didn't shut down the governor. They didn't shut down the judge on this case. That boy is still sitting in jail. Homeland Security Investigations Office in Tampa killed everything. So y'all keep it up. Keep it up, keep it up, keep it up. Because whether you're American or not, if he wants to get rid of you, he's going to get rid of you. And he is saying, I'm taking out American people and I'm sending them to other countries, especially if you're black or brown. Because if we're nationally born, if we are United States citizens, he technically can't touch us, but he can basically touch you, and they're going to hold you up in there until they can't hold you no more. So go ahead. Keep chasing money, because you better get 9 jobs and start making a payment plan, and you better hope they don't turn you in. You better hope they don't turn you in. Where's my boy Ainsley? I see he's here.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Pastor Steph.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Brother Ainsley.
Yep.
How are you today? How you doing?
I'm good. Glad to be back.
All right. We're glad to have you back. All right. So you got a couple of things that you can choose between. You can talk about the Supreme Court that has blocked the order to rehire federal workers, as well as blocked the teacher training program, but who have lifted the deportation freeze. Or you can talk about the young man that I just got finished talking about, the 20-year-old who was caught in the car with the driver who was not licensed, and I don't believe he was legal. So they're holding everybody, even with a birth certificate, social security card that has been validated by a judge. They're not trying to release him. Or you can talk about the ones who stole the Chase money out the ATM. And now they chasing the people down trying to get the money back. Which one you want to talk about?
That's a lot to unpack. Well, first of all, I wasn't unaware about the Supreme Court with the teachers blocking the teachers training. I'm totally unfamiliar with that one. I never heard of that one, so I gotta look that one up. I heard about the young man. I wonder if it's the same case that I was starting to research. Garcia's the last name on this guy.
His name is. Hey, this got one of them four people named Juan Carlos Lopez Gomez.
All right, Gomez. Well, I'm talking about, I think his name's Garcia. It's the same situation. It's another situation very similar to this. Americanized, born, and yet he got rounded up, picked up ICE, pretty much minding his own business under, really, supposedly he was, he's illegal and stuff like that, but he got paid with otherwise. And I think he's in El Salvador jail, and family's trying to get him back because he's here. Matter of fact, he was married with his wife and kids, and it's the same thing. The courts are saying no, you got to bring him back, but the administration is like nope, and now they trying to bring up all these other reasons. Oh, he's affiliated with the gang and stuff like that, and they find other reasons. But the bottom line, if the court says you got to go back, you got to go back. So this is a new era now. Okay, you have the executive branch and Congress, but so now the courts is it makes no difference. They don't have no power or say so. They're supposed to have. It's supposed to be a balance of the power and whatnot. Okay, Trump has the Congress in his hand, but at least the court now the court is not doing its responsibility. It's just basically another arm of the executive branch. I mean, then this is tyranny right here. You know what I'm saying? So it's like no matter what he wants, what sense does it make going to court? If the law is not going to be followed properly, this is lawlessness here. And so and I'm like surprised, it's like going to 3 courts and the minister is saying no, making up all kind of reasons, not coming to the hearing, court dates, what you're supposed to. And the judge is like, what's happening? And they give us a little reason. Oh, he's affiliated with the gang and whatnot, which is almost irrelevant because if that was the case, why didn't you say that in the original reasoning? Why?
Okay.
So, and I heard, of course, they're talking about, and this world, black people, our black and brown, they want to send us because we already know there's money in the prison system. So now, okay, they probably make more money shipping us overseas from somewhere, and cost less. And even though you're Americanized, so it seems like no matter where you're born here or not, it's irrelevant.
Right.
That's right. Ironic. It's irrelevant if you're born here, but yeah, when people come over here, you gotta go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So what are you really saying here? So I think it's really crazy that the because you would think even if there are the Supreme Court is more conservative, at least do your job. That's what I don't get. I do realize these Supreme Court justices, they're in for life. They're not for another 5 years. They're in so they say. So your job is secure. It's specifically made that way. That way you don't have to. You not have to follow the current administration's what they say. You're supposed to follow the law, no matter who's what party is in charge and whatnot.
Right.
But what's the sense then if you're going to just go ahead and it doesn't make any sense? You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, your job is secure. You ain't got to follow what he said. Follow the law. That's what we want. Follow the law. Do what is right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We can't define what's right. Come on now.
Yeah. Very scary situation. Very scary situation. Like you said, you ain't got to worry about nothing. You have your job. You don't have to worry about. But you know what? This is what all this behind the scenes stuff. We have no idea what is going on. So, let's see what your brothers got to say. It is. This is definitely something new. Definitely something new. We have never experienced this kind of stuff before. Let's see what your brothers have got to say. Hey, Pastor Jeff, good morning. Thank you for joining us, Ainsley. Glad to have you. Good morning, Pastor Jeff.
Good morning. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good.
I'm good. I'm well. Thank you as well. Pastor Jeff, you've got your choice of what you want to talk about. You can talk about the people who stole Chase's money, writing these outrageously large amounts of checks, and they deposit them in the ATM, pulling that money out real quick. And now the people, JP Morgan Chase is chasing them down. You've got the U.S.-born 20-year-old who is sitting in jail right now. Nobody can seem to get him up out of there. And you've got the Supreme Court who have both overruled the rehiring of the federal workers, and rather the teachers training program they have locked up. They will not release the order to allow that to happen. Which one you want to talk about this morning?
Well, I can talk about any of them. As far as Chase and the checks concerned, you would think after all these years they would, not be getting got like that. You know,
Right.
because
Right.
back in the early '90s, I got them like that.
You know what? I tell y'all, Pastor Jeff got some stories. Wow, Pastor Jeff.
I deposited a check and got some money from it, and then the check bounced, and then they wanted that money back, and I told them no, you ain't getting it back,
Mm.
and
Wow.
they end up had to write it off and send me a letter, 1099, you know, and that was years
Wow.
ago, and Chase was like, you can never have an account with us again, right? And then they let me
Wow.
years later let me have another account with them, you know, and we had a
Wow.
dispute over another check which was legit, it was an insurance check, and the other party was claiming they should have been able to get it or whatever, and then they had to write that off with me. And I think about it, I said, man,
Wow.
Chase ain't about their business, and they letting these people do that. You know, you would think that they would
Wow.
not clear any money until those checks clear.
Right. Especially thousands of dollars, like what
Yeah.
they're describing here, Pastor Jeff. You're talking about a man who wrote a check for $73,000, but they let him take out $82,000. Yo,
That's what
come
I'm
on.
saying.
Come
Y'all not about
on.
your business. I mean,
That's right.
y'all
That's
deserve to
right.
get got if you're gonna do it
Okay.
like that.
Come on. You know what I say, Pastor Jeff? Somebody is behind this on the inside. Because come on, who doing all this? Who doing all this? Come on, Pastor Jeff. This is crazy.
I don't feel sorry for the banks. You know, if you know y'all be ripping us off with interest rates and everything else, and
Real.
then you're not gonna be about your business. You know, you got. But
Mm-mm.
those people that did that,
Wow.
man, they shouldn't be playing with that because white collar crime, they come down harder for white collar crime, especially on minorities, than
Yep.
if you murder somebody.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
but
not only that, Pastor Jeff, but now Trump is looking to get rid of the black and brown people for any reason possible.
that's what I'm
You
saying.
want to play right? You really want to play right now?
That's what I'm saying. They the people playing
Yo,
games.
big time, big time.
Your citizenship
Woo!
don't mean nothing now.
That's
know.
right.
Right.
That's right.
For real.
It
That's right.
it
That's
truthfully
right.
it never did mean anything, and all Trump is doing is exposing it. That's all he's doing
Mm,
because look, none of the rules apply to them.
no,
They
no,
do what they
no,
want to do.
no.
Trump got the Supreme Court to give him immunity as a president, and he wasn't even president when he got them to
Right,
do that. You
right,
know what I'm
right,
saying?
right. That's right,
And
Pastor Jeff.
and them trying to force him to bring people back that he erroneously so-called sent other places to them El Salvador and all of that. That's some crazy business because he's still saying no, I ain't bringing them back.
Yep,
And
yep,
look, all the judge can do is find him in contempt, but he's got immunity, so you can't do nothing to him.
Mm-hmm.
yep,
He
I
can't go to
yep.
mean,
jail.
yeah,
That's right.
it's just showing that they slavery is still there. Jim Crow is still there. They can do what the heck they want to do,
That's right. That's
and get
right,
away with
Pastor
it.
Jeff. That's right. That's the sad part. And you really want to play at a time like this. A nigga says, very, very true. Let's talk to our brother Al and see what he's got to say about these situations. Good morning, brother Al.
Chop of the morning, chop of the morning. Hello, fellas. And
All
look,
right,
Good
Pastor,
morning,
brother.
Yeah.
bro.
I'm not gonna be in here too long. I gotta get to Chase and put this check back.
Okay, so if we don't see brother Al next week, then we know why.
I got
We
to
know
put
why.
this money back.
Tamika won't be smiling up in that camera next week. All right. Brother Al, which story you want to talk about?
Oh man, I think I want to talk about the situation with the teachers. I'm gonna go that route.
Okay.
Man, it's just I see it as just a plot to continue to keep us down. I'm looking at the school system. We got over like 40 countries that does the education, and the United States is ranked number 40. We're in dead last place. and now we in last place, and then you don't want to let the teachers get trained, and they just throw it on you. Like even like during the summer, I work in a summer camp, right? And they come and they force us to take kids. Like we got a certain amount of staff, and they got a ton of kids coming in. We like, okay, we full. They able to call the head of the board, and they'll call us and say, okay, we understand you full. You still got to take these 20 kids. They got nowhere to go. So now you got these extra kids coming. Some of them got special needs. I don't get a file to know who's who or what this kid problem is. And so I'm stuck in the gym with about 50 kids. Most of them got an IEP. And I don't know what, I don't have a folder in front of me to say, okay, this kid don't like noise. This kid don't like to be yelled at. And it's just here to deal with it, And the parents, this is crazy because they're like, well, I need to have my kid somewhere. I got to go to work. So you don't care what happens. And I'm sitting there like, why wouldn't you want the teachers trained? And I fought that. I said, listen, I'm not trained to deal with these type of children. And they don't care. So it's bad that they doing this with these teachers. You won't let us get certain training, but you'll force us to do all this other training, sexual harassment and this and that. And I do understand that, but we need this training to deal with certain types of children.
Right.
And so that's horrible. That's why we're gonna continue to be in last place when it comes to education. When they came up with that stupidness of No Child Left Behind. So now you got this kid in the 9th and 10th grade reading on a 3rd grade reading level. And then you wonder why.
Right.
Some of the crazy parents. Oh, I don't want my child. What can we do to get my child to go to the next grade? Miss, he can't do 7th grade work. What makes you think he can do 8th grade work? And the parents come up and fight. They come up and fight, and then they make a way to make this child go to that next grade. And I just sit there. I be standing there at work, Pastor Steph, and at time I have to monitor the bathroom, make sure the kids don't go in there and play. And I have a clock, a regular clock up on the wall, and you got 9th and 10th graders come. I make them sign their name, put the time, and they can't even tell me what time it is. I'm sitting like,
wow.
I'm in 10th grade.
Yep.
You don't know that time? Mr. B, I don't know that time. I'm like, wow.
Yep.
And this is
if
what
it's
we
not
do.
a digital clock. That's right. If analog clock, they don't know nothing about that.
And you got the gall, to sit there and say, oh, the teachers can't do training. We in a lot of trouble. That's why we need Jesus. We're in a lot of trouble.
That's right, Brother Al. That's right. Wow. All right, let's hear from our Pastor KL to see what he's got to say about this nonsense. Hey, Pastor KL.
What it do, crew?
He owe that money too. KL, go put that money back.
What's done in the dark.
Right? Always. Which story you want to talk about this morning, Pastor KL?
Well, I want to talk about that money because, I think Chase is crazy. They are absolutely crazy. My man got thousands of dollars. Yep. Where is the check and balance in your company, in your organization?
Yep.
I know there's a write-off, but how much you need to write off? Listen, if I got 72,000, Chase would have to chase me. You had to chase me.
What?
I am in the Olympics. Okay? I am in the Olympics. I am a gold medalist. You'll have to chase me for this money.
Yeah, that's when I was reading this, I'm saying to myself, okay, so what kind of glitch we talking about that would allow you to write a check, put it into your account through the ATM machine, and you could withdraw before it cleared. And I'm saying to myself, well, since when does that happen? Because normally they lock up your money. So like if you got $1,000 check, they'll let you get like $200, and then the rest will clear, for the rest of the week, you get another 100. What in the world is going on? That's why I personally think this is something that's going on from the inside. I'm not believing that this is something that I ain't believing that. I'm
I don't
not
believe that
believing
either.
that.
At the part of the last check, they was like, we're gonna hold on to this for about a month to make sure this thing was
Okay,
clean.
this is what I'm
I'm like,
saying.
not a
No,
week or 2 weeks or a month.
right?
I'm like,
Yes.
And it was only $10.
Put in a $10 check and get you a couple pounds.
Okay. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? So it's something that it's all fishy. Everybody is doing something they ain't got no business doing. All righty. Wait, I'm kind of locked out here. D'Amica says Al's not going down by himself. He's snitching. You better believe it. I believe Al would snitch. Oh my
Snitchy
goodness.
Al.
Oh, hey,
All right.
hey.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All right, listen. I came across a very interesting topic, and it talks about it's a list of things that they say men secretly regret these particular life decisions once they hit 50 years old. Now, I won't tell how old all of you are, but I won't hold that you're
Just
all
know I'm the
at
youngest.
least
I'm the youngest.
50.
Hey, I appreciate my age.
I do too, brother Al. I do not believe this thing. Oh, you don't tell your age. Listen, shout it from the mountaintop. Jesus did save me for 58 years. Yo,
There you
I'm
go.
telling it all.
There it
Okay.
is.
But
I don't like being here with all you old folks.
with age comes wisdom, Pastor Jeff.
Right?
So,
I see y'all needed some youth here, so I'm here.
Listen, with age comes Geritol.
you know what?
Hey,
Oh my
hey,
goodness.
Hey, Pastor Jeff, you be careful. Pastor Steph is my grandmother. You cut it out. That's my nana.
what?
You cut it out. That's my nana.
She's my great aunt. That's my great aunt.
Oh my God. You know what? Y'all ain't no good. That's what I'm talking about y'all today. So here are some things that men who have reached 50 years old have said that they regret letting go by in their life. And they talk about letting their health take a back seat. We're gonna start with you, brother Al. People, men, they don't pay attention to their health too well.
Yeah, I can say, for me, I always did. I was an athlete, and I always, was attentive to my health. But I would say yes to that because so many men refuse to go to the doctor. They sit back and I got a few of my friends that's very sick now because they wouldn't go. They called me and I'm like, listen, just go to the doctor. The most the doctor can do is say you're okay. But I don't want to know. And now, one of my friends had a stroke and he told me all the time, man, I wish I would have listened to you. Because he called me and I said, bro, go to the doctor right now. He's like, my body feeling funny. I said, your body, go to the doctor. Wow. And I told him that on a Tuesday. And he was like, oh, I'll probably go next week. And that Thursday, he had a stroke.
Wow, wow.
I tell people, Pastor, if I go to bed and dream something wrong, I wake up and make an appointment. I wake up in the morning, I'm like, did that really happen? You know what? Doc, I need to come in. I need to holler.
Wow.
I'll say definitely yes. That's definitely one.
Okay. Ainsley, brother Ainsley, letting your health take a back seat. Is that something that men to do? Are you guilty?
Yeah, I'm somewhat guilty. I think it's kind of true. I mean, I always went to the doctor and stuff like that. However, I think it's lack of knowledge too, because I wish I had known better. I did more of a healthier lifestyle back in my earlier days, which is now coming back to haunt me. Like dealing with diabetes and certain heart conditions and stuff like that. Had a more healthier lifestyle, more better than what I was doing. Which somebody older would say, listen, lay off that salt back in the 20s and the 30s. You need to keep the exercise going because I kind of stopped off. I used to work out. You can never tell it now. But I used to work out back in the day. I used to do martial arts and stuff, like very active. now I'm walking around the block, I'm huffing and puffing. So,
Mm.
so it's like I wish I kept them more of a healthy lifestyle. It would, translate to a better, health right now and stuff like that. Even though I always went to the doctor and stuff like that. So, I think it's lack of knowledge. Somebody just really say, "Yo, this is the reason why." You see this person over here? You don't want to be like them. Keep your exercise going on, stuff like that.
Okay, okay. Pastor Jeff,
Yes, ma'am.
did you let your health take a back seat?
No, not really. I was the Mr. Track Star in high school, and I kind of kept running for years. But now my regret is maybe I ran too much, because now I got to walk because my left hip gives me a lot of problems.
Wow.
And I was one of them half marathoners, and I'm wondering whether I messed myself up by doing too much. But as far
Wow.
as going to the doctor, I go, and I haven't gotten any health problems yet, other than the doctor told me I'm a little obese. you know, you know.
Okay.
Other than that, but that's because in the last couple of years I can't exercise like I want to because of the pain in my left hip.
Okay. Wow. Pastor KL, are you guilty of, letting your health take a back seat?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely guilty. Back in high school, I hear all these athletes, but I was a singer. And Luther Vandross was fat. You know what I mean? So I didn't need to exercise. I'm okay. You know what I'm saying? If Luther could do it, I could do it. I don't know, fellas, but have you ever taken your car to the shop for brakes, and then they told you, well, you need rotors, you need a starter? That's how I feel when I go to the doctor. I go to the doctor for my knee, and they tell me it's my liver. I go to the doctor for my liver, and they tell me it's my back. It's like, listen, I don't need you to tell me what else is wrong. Just tell me what I went in here for. I had an experience, and I heard Pastor Jeff talk about, they said that he was obese. Well, I went to the doctor and they got on the scale and everything, and he said, Mr. Frazier, you're obese. I thought he said, you're a beast. So I was like, thank you. You know what I mean? I thought he was saying that my health was good. You're a beast. He said, no, sir, you're fat. Oh, man. I was mad at that point.
Oh my goodness gracious. You know what? Leave it up to you. All righty. One of the other things they're saying is, they regret allowing friendships to fade away. Brother Ainsley.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I got good friends. You really don't really have a few close friends. And one of my friends who I have from back in the day, they still my friends now. If you wasn't back then, you're not gonna be now. I mean, also over the course of time, as you get older, you meet people and stuff like that. But that don't apply to me. Most people I stay in contact with, I'm good with, and I got a good rapport with pretty much everybody I've had to deal with. So I don't think so. Nah.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Pastor Jeff, are you guilty of allowing friendships to fade away?
I'm very guilty of that, and I regret it because I have no friends now. I mean, just nobody. I mean, just me.
We love you, Pastor Jeff. We your friends.
Be your friend, Pastor.
You're all right.
I stayed away from New York so long, and then when I come back, I tried to hook up with some of my old friends, and it just didn't work now. Our lives have just went totally different, So
Okay.
I do regret that because,
Okay.
my wife is my only friend now.
Well, you have 4 new friends, Pastor Jeff.
That's right.
New friends.
All right.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
You don't have nobody anymore. I'll be your friend. Okay. All right. What about you, Pastor KL?
I don't regret it at all. I'll cut my mama off. I'll cut my sister off. Listen. I don't have tolerance for a lot of stuff. So and my attention span is not that very long. So you can do one thing. I tell people all the time, I don't hire cats. I don't have cats on my friends because y'all ain't got 9 lives in my life. If you show me yourself that first time, you gotta go. I don't regret it at all. There's not a friend like the lowly Jesus. No, not one. I don't care. I'll cut you off in a minute.
Pastor KL, tell the truth. They didn't cut you off.
No. Listen. To have me as a friend, baby. A friend in need is a friend indeed.
When we big us, you can't big yourself up. What is that?
Hey, tell the truth and shame the devil.
Of course, according to you, you're a true friend. Oh my goodness gracious. Brother Al, are you guilty of allowing friendships to fade away?
I'm gonna say no, not really, but the friends that faded away was people that I didn't need to be around. So it was a good fade away. it was some people that I didn't need to be around that I thought was friends and hung around me for certain reasons. So I'd say it was a good cleanse. It was a good cleanse. I don't regret it.
Okay. One of the other regrets that men have listed, they say they never learned how to talk about their feelings. Pastor Jeff.
Nah, I'm a brother gonna talk about my feelings. So
we know that's the truth.
my wife is the dude in relationship, and I guess I'm the girl because she won't talk about hers, and she But me, I'm a talk. I'm gonna tell you how I feel.
Yes, Pastor Jeff, we can believe every bit of that. All right, Pastor KL.
Yeah, I have no filter, so I'm gonna talk to a fault. Sometimes I say stuff that I really shouldn't say, but if I feel it, if it's in me, it's gonna come out of me. So yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Why you shaking your head so much, Pastor Steph?
Pastor Steph gonna break her neck shaking her head.
I know. I don't understand. Don't ask questions if you don't want the answers. That's all I know. Who's thinking these questions?
I needed a cap for the other day, Pastor KL. I needed that continuation. What about you, Brother Al? I mean, Brother Ainsley. What about you?
What do I don't talk about my feelings?
You never learned how to talk about your feelings.
I'll talk about my feelings. Or maybe, I don't maybe talk about it too much. I want because unlike KL with no filter, I got a little filter. So I may be a little bit hesitant, but I'll say what I gotta say though. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And what about you, Brother Al?
I'll say I regret it. Back in the day, like now I don't have a problem, but back in the day, I think I could have saved some friendships or even some relationships. But again, as growing up, you taught, especially men, we show our feelings. It was a sign of weakness. So, I would hold certain things in, things that's like I look back now, like, man, I should have said that, or I should have told this person about that, and I didn't. So, but now, oh yeah, it's on now. and like you said, just thing of learning as you get older, you learn.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All righty. They say they regret playing it safe when they could have taken a leap. Pastor KL.
No, sometimes that leap is suicidal. I play it safe. I'm okay. I can't. I can't take a leap to too many. Sometimes you want to, but I'd rather play it safe. It's the coward who told the story how that brave guy got killed. So I keep it safe. It's okay.
Oh my my goodness gracious.
Gotta take it to extreme, bro.
Here. You know what? Lord have mercy. Oh my goodness. Brother Ainsley. They say they regret playing it safe when they could have taken a leap. What about you?
Yeah, sometimes I think I could have maybe taken a leap on certain things, but most of the time, though, I kind of play it safe, man. Safe is the way to go for long term. But I have no real too much regret, a little regret. But sometimes you think, okay, maybe I took a leap over this situation back in the day. Where would I be at right now? But it is what it is. Safe is safe. You know what I'm saying? Because that leap, like, could kill you. So
You'd have been a 60. You'd have been a 60-year-old rapper.
For real. So yeah.
Oh goodness gracious. Okay. What about you, Pastor Jeff? Playing it safe when you could have taken a leap? I don't know if that would be you.
I'm the leaper, and I'm still
Yes.
still leaping, and I have maybe a few regrets of some leaps I've taken, but my leaps of these latter years, I believe they're going to pan out the way I want it. So I can't say I regret.
Okay.
I would have regret if I didn't take the leaps.
Okay. What about you, Brother Al?
Yeah, I do regret some that I should have took a leap on. Should have just walked out there on faith. My senior year in school, I should have transferred to this other college to play ball that I got an offer from because we had got a new coach, and I didn't do that. And I always regret that because you never know what could have happened. But yeah, there's a few that I regret. But like I said, it's a learning tool as we get older. Like now, I walk out on that faith. I pray about it and I walk out on that faith.
Okay. Another regret comes up, the way they handled money in their 30s and 40s. Pastor Jeff.
Well, that's a definite. I mean, I've had a lot of money come through my hands and wish that it would have stayed, from that era. Because, but at the same time, I learned some lessons that probably keep some money in my pocket now.
Okay. All right. Brother Ainsley.
Yeah. Oh man, I made some bad financial decisions. Now I still regret, man. Like, if I wish I knew then what I know now. And back then in the 90s and certain things when I had opportunity to buy a house or two back then. And I was too ignorant, too dumb to realize the opportunity was passing through my hands. So I was like, and boy, do I regret that now. So most definitely.
Okay. Brother Al.
Yeah. And I definitely regret some and would have did things differently. I didn't learn to a later age. Because I just ain't had nobody really to show it. And it's hard when you don't have the money. When you don't have no money, you can't do anything. But the money that I did have, I did regret that I could have did so much things different. But again, the knowledge come with getting older, with the age.
Okay. Pastor KL.
Yeah, I think marriage saved my life, man, because in my 20s and 30s, I was spending some money on some women, boy. I mean, I was spending money. I couldn't take them home. I had to go to the hotel. And I didn't have no car. I had to get a cab. I was spending too much money on these women. It was just ridiculous. And it wasn't worth it. But then I looked too. I got married. It looked like I was spending more money. I don't know if I learned it all.
Oh my goodness gracious. They regret the skills they never bothered to learn. Oh, Brother Al.
Skills you never
bothered to learn.
I'm as I'm thinking right now, and I tried to learn everything I possibly could when I was younger. I got involved with all type of stuff. Whenever something came out, when rapping came out, I was doing that. And my
We
dad, I
know
learned.
you didn't learn that well.
Oh, so we want to play rough, Pastor Steph.
Brother Al, you need a remedial.
I would say no, I didn't, because like I said, I learned construction when I was young. My dad had me out there in 6th grade. I would say I would think the only thing that I regret that I didn't learn was to speak different languages.
Mm,
And I
okay.
think I played around in Spanish class and just only knew the bad words. So I think if I had to do them, I would have learned. It ain't too late, but it's laziness now. But learning other languages.
Okay. Pastor KL, the skills you never bothered to learn. Does that apply to you?
No, not at all. I learned what I needed to learn. It works for what I'm doing, and that's it. Listen, I don't need nothing extra on my plate. I don't eat all that other stuff. You put the vegetables, I don't eat that. Don't put it on my plate. I'm not going to eat it. I'm going to throw it away. So, yeah, I don't need all that stuff. I'm good where I'm at.
Okay. So he thinks. Brother Ainsley, skills you never bothered to learn. Does that apply?
I won't say never bother to learn. I say maybe to perfect the ones I do know. I think I could be a better musician, better stuff like that. Taking the time to really to delve in to be better in the long run. I could do it all right, but I could have done a lot better to perfect the craft and stuff like that. So I won't say I wouldn't not bother to learn, but to do better at what I already was doing. So I'll say like that.
Okay. Pastor Jeff, what you got?
Spanish and languages and music. I tried and started and stopped and wish that I would have done that, but and then wish that when I was younger I learned how to perfect the skill of loving one woman like I do now.
Okay.
I think I would have been a better person if I would have perfected that skill earlier.
Okay. Interesting. You didn't taught somebody something with that one right there. All right. The grudges they held on to that weren't worth the energy. Let's start with you, Pastor KL.
All right, you got me on that one. So, I always tell the story about how I hated my father. We grew up in the same house. I didn't like him. I felt like he didn't like me. It wasn't until I had my son and I saw that my father was trying to relive our relationship through my son that I understand that he was just from the old school and he didn't do some of the things that I wanted him to do. And I regretted it. And now we have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful relationship. But for a long time, I was going to take that to the grave.
Wow. Amen. Brother Ainsley, grudges that were held on to that weren't worth the energy.
No, I don't think really held on to a grudge. I mean, it may have held it for a little while, but I don't think I held it nothing like really. I don't recall, at least right now, I don't think I really held a grudge for any length of time, because sometimes at least I always try to, you got to move on a certain thing. If it's I have a grudge against somebody, then it's good to me. We got to depart. I don't need that energy. I don't need that headspace. I'm giving that person too much rent in my head, in my being unnecessarily.
Okay.
So the sooner I can move away from that, the better I am. Because I guess I will be going in when I'm in, but I can't keep that but for so long. So I don't think I'll keep a grudge. I don't recall calling a grudge say for any too long of a time, I would say.
Okay. Pastor Jeff, what about you? Did you hold on to some grudges that really weren't worth the energy?
I am a person that wish that I could hold on to some grudges. I've been considered too soft, and I come up in a family of people that can hold forever, and I never could. and and that's been my problem. I sometimes I kind of wish I was more like them, because they take advantage of that. But I can't. I don't know how to hold grudges. I be trying to, you know, and I can't.
Wow. Okay. What about you, Brother Al?
Oh, I used to hold on to some goods. I hold on to it for you, Pastor Jeff. uh, I do regret that, and because like I said, my former life, I was very, I had to get you back. You did something to me, I couldn't sleep until I get you back, and that was very dangerous because I did some things, and I'm like, man, that's crazy. I was very revengeful, so I thank God that He took that away from me. So like now, of course we got our human flesh. I may get mad at something, but I'll forgive you and move on. And some people think that because you forgive a person that you still have to deal with you. I can forgive you and then just not deal with you anymore and move on.
Right.
Like you said, people don't understand forgiveness is for you. Like Ainsley said, it's in your head. You come by, every time you see this person, you go to 100 in your mind, getting mad. That's too much person living their life and joy. So I thank God that He took that away from me. But I do regret some of the the grudges I used to hold, because like I said, I was very revengeful. And I think back to sometimes like, yo, what's wrong with you? Were you insane? So
okay. Okay. Interesting. All right. They have here, they regret not taking more photos and recording family memories. Brother Ainsley.
Oh, that's definitely not me. That's definitely not me.
Okay.
I'm walking around with the cameras and videos. I got stuff from
Mm-hmm.
ever since I can recall. From teenage and high school. I got a camera now. That's why I got more doing videography now. So that definitely doesn't apply to me. Nope, not for me.
Okay. All right. Brother Pastor Jeff.
I mean, I think I one that took a lot of photos, but what changed me was when I had a fire years ago, and my whole house burnt down, and I lost all those photos and everything else.
Wow.
That it was just like, now I realize, no big deal no more. When you get wiped out in one swoop like that. So, my wife is a photo taker, so she keeps scrapbooks and everything. So I guess, you know, we got the memories.
Okay. What about you, Brother Al?
Oh yeah, I definitely regret it. I was never really the picture taker all the time, here and there. And it's so funny. I was speaking with my director at my after school program, and I didn't realize the legacy that I was creating at the school. I got kids now that I have. These kids was like in second, third grade, and they grown men now. And they come to me and they thank me for showing them the way and stand on them and things like that. And I don't have a lot of picture and video, to show, because at that time I didn't realize I was creating a legacy. My main mindset was get these young men on point, show them how to be men, how to do right things in life, and I didn't think about that. And me and my director was just talking about that. I said, man, I wish I'd have had more video and more pictures, so yeah, I do regret that.
Okay. Pastor KL.
Yeah, I was never a picture person. I regret it now. I performed with so many people that everybody would have been taking pictures with them, and I have no pictures. I came across a picture with me and Donnie McClurkin that was like in the suitcase, and I was like, wow. But when I think about Mary, going down the line of how many people I performed with, my house should be full of pictures. But I'm just not that starstruck person. I'm not that picture person. I think I got a picture of my mother and father when they were 19 and 20. Now they 200 years old now. They don't look nothing like that 19 and 20-year-old picture. I didn't even recognize who they was when I went in the room one day. You know what I mean? Who kids are these?
Oh my goodness.
I sure hope mama and dad ain't listening.
Oh my goodness gracious. One of the regrets, and I'm really interested in hearing this one from you guys, not asking for help when life got hard. Pastor Jeff.
I regret asking for help. The not asking, I don't regret. I regret asking because, the 2 times in my life I asked, I got no to people that I helped their whole life. So I regret asking.
Wow. Okay. We got to check in from our friend Sean. Hey, Sean. Thank you for stopping by. What about you, Brother Al? Not asking for help when life got hard. Does that apply to you?
I would say no. I mean, I went through some really tough time, but I was just always a person that didn't ask. I just fought through it, and yeah, I don't regret it. No, I just dealt with the situation and fought through it.
Okay. What about you, Pastor KL? Not asking for help when life got hard. Does that apply to you?
No, it doesn't apply to me. I'm a person that I'm already going through. The last thing I need to do is set my own self up for disappointment. Because if I come to you and ask you and you don't, or if you tell me you're going to and still don't, no, I'm still in the same position. You know what I'm saying? But now I look at you differently. So to keep our friendship and to keep how I feel about you, I'll just not ask you. Because I don't want to put you in that position and I don't want to put me in that position. Because once you don't come through, you no longer consider a friend to me.
Okay. What about you, Ainsley, Brother Ainsley?
To me, it's two parts. One, yeah, I did ask for help, but and it came through. But I'm like the brother saying, you don't want to ask because you don't want to be disappointed and stuff like that. But for me though, as time, for me though, it's like thank God I learned this over the course of time. I'm like, okay, this situation was hard. I got through it. This one's a little bit harder, but because I got through that, I can probably get through this. And next thing you know, every time situations got a little bit harder, but I can always look back and say, God got me through this, that, and another. And over the course of a period of time, it was like, you know what? I'm used to going through something. I don't know how I'm going to get through it. I'm going to get through it some way or another. It may take some time and stuff. So that my comfort comes in knowing God's been good. He always brings me through and out. So necessarily, I'm like, okay, I don't necessarily have to ask anybody. I know God's going to get me through and out of this.
Okay. Well, we're going to end with this one. Some men say that they regret spending too much time working and not enough pleasure time. Brother Al.
Too much time working. Nah, I don't regret that. And I did have put in a lot of time because with that free time, I probably got myself in trouble. So the working was good. And on top of that, it was doing something working and doing something I enjoyed doing. So I would say, no, I don't regret that.
Okay. Pastor Jeff.
I don't think I regret that because I can't say that I spent too much time working. There was a small period in my life that I did when I was the correction officer doing all that overtime, but I didn't really have nobody in my life other than my little daughter, that I was sharing between me and her mother at the time. So I can't say that because after that, I didn't spend too much time working.
Okay. What about you, Brother Ainsley?
Nah, I don't think so. Man, we know we gotta work, we gotta provide, we gotta do this. It's a born innate necessity what we gotta do, and I think I worked enough to do what was necessary, and and still have time for certain pleasures in life. You know what I'm saying? So, like a friend of mine, just the other day, I have a joke with him. I always say, man, he does construction independently. I know him from since a youngster and whatnot, and he started his own construction business. So I always say, yo, you're always busy, you're always doing something. And he said, man, I got two choices. I can stay at home, or I can be tired and get some money. He said, I prefer to be tired and get some money. And so it's like with that, we do what we got to do, and so that's why we can enjoy where we at right now. So we got to put the time in so we can enjoy pleasurable things, more better leisure time, if you will. You know what I'm saying? So the trade-off is what it is. I'm good with it.
Okay. And last but definitely not least, Pastor KL.
Yeah, by default, I am a workaholic. I work 7 days because I want to, not because I have to. So I mean, I don't regret that. I'm a person. I'm a person of a routine. I go to work early in the morning. I go home. I go to sleep. That's what I do. Say my pleasure time is being in the bed. If anybody calls me at 5 o'clock and say, "Hey, what you doing?" They know I'm in the bed. If you know me, you know I'm in the bed. That's just what I do. When I go visit my parents, I go downstairs in the basement and I'm in the bed. You just know that I'm there. You come down there every now and then, look at me. Visitation rights is always good, but I'm going to be in the bed. I'm not going to change my routine for you. And then when I come back, I go to work. I get off the plane and I go straight to work. I enjoy it.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. I'm sure some of the stuff that you've said, definitely, it's been food for thought. And I thank you for your openness and your thought-provoking comments. Giving God thanks for you, and we pray you have a wonderful weekend.
All right.
Oh yeah,
too, everybody.
you're the same. Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
All right, thank you. Woo, let's get this benediction. Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore. Psalm 121, 7 and 8. When I came across this list where they say most men secretly, regret certain things, certain decisions that they've made in life once they hit 50, I was really intrigued. I was really intrigued to know exactly what our men thought, what our men felt. Because again, as you saw, it's a mixture. It's a mixture based on who you are, based on what you are, based on how, what was provided and available to you. You make those decisions. And I really was interested. Some of them, having, Pastor Jeff is someone who I've met very recently. You met him right here on his Due Time with Pastor Steph. Met him right here on Facebook when he and his wife, Pastor Nicole, both did our relationship clinic, and that launched us into this level of relationship. I didn't know him, but I've learned, quite a bit about Pastor Jeff just from being on with him week to week. So some of his things that he said was not surprising. Now, Brother Al, I always say to you, I've known Brother Al for about, maybe about, oh my gosh, it's got to be about 28, 29 years. I have my youngest daughter. I knew him before she was even born. So that's a long time. And she'll be 27. Pastor KL, I met in like 93. So we're talking like 32 years. And Brother Ainsley, I've known from like 92. So that's like 33 years. And even with knowing them for so long, I've learned some new things about them. And, about men, talking to these four men, I've learned about men in general. And, we talked about work. And that's how I met Pastor KL and Pastor KL and Brother Ainsley. We were working on a project. And talk about work, man, we 24 hours a day, we were working. We worked separately at our jobs, and then we met up all in the evening. For those of you who remember Pastor Ed, for those of you who remember Dwayne, Dwayne was somebody who I met way back when. These men worked. Brother Al, I met in the arts, and he talks about the stuff that he's done back then working. So it was really interesting to hear, what they thought of their lives, what they thought of some of the decisions that they made. And when I met, I think, Brother Al and Pastor KL, they weren't men of God, and probably Brother Ainsley as well wasn't, but we all have gotten deeper in the Lord and really committed ourselves, to God at this point in our lives. And I think about that when it comes to the decisions that they were talking about, the things that they've done over the years, whether it was a mistake or they got it right. I rejoice that we've learned so much together. We've learned so much apart. And look at what God has done. God took us from there where we were working on the arts, all of us. We were working, that's what we were doing. We were working on the arts. Pastor KL had his job. Ainsley had his job. KL had his job. Al had his job. But we came together for the arts. And now I look and I rejoice in the Lord that we are now on this platform together, just encouraging people to trust God, encouraging people to just make Jesus their personal savior, just giving people an understanding. It was Pastor KL who coined my former life, and everybody uses it now, because that's what it is, our former life. And now to be on this platform with these gentlemen is an honor, to be with them here again. It's amazing, watching what God can do in your life. And when we all make decisions back in the day and we now make decisions, there should be some growth. There should be some maturity, whether you're in the Lord or not. There should be some growth and maturity. But here's the best part about it. Being in the Lord, there's a different level of maturity and growth. And when you learn to trust God in all of those different areas of your life, taking your health seriously and, spending too much time working and allowing your friendships to fade away and, learning how to talk about your feelings and all of those different areas we talked about. When you put God in that, when you add God to the equation, there's nothing better. Had I asked the four men, God versus now, and one day we're going to talk about that. We'll probably take something like the same template and we'll talk about the difference between God then or no God then and God now. Man, there's nothing like it. Nothing like it. It is a decision you will not regret. So giving God thanks that I can actually sit with these guys and listen to them and learn. I've learned. So you're not going to tell me that if you're a male who's not in the Lord, that you didn't hear something. A male, all of these men are at least 50 years old. They're all above 50. And not just 51 or 52 either, by the way. So if you're younger than 50, listen to the things that they said, because this makes the difference in your life. To say I blew money in the 90s or in my 30s and 40s, and who has not blown money in their life? But now we look at it, we could have been living in a mansion with some of the money that we've blown. And, when you've allowed friendships to fade away, everybody's not going to be like Pastor KL and say, well, those friendships, were friendships I didn't need, or Brother Al said those friendships I didn't need. Pastor Jeff even said, listen, I separated myself, and when I came back, those friends were gone. Well, probably a lot of those friends he probably could have let go as well. However, some of those friendships could have been friendships that would have just definitely helped him mature, to a better person, because there are those individuals that help to take us somewhere. And I always tell people that Brother Ainsley, that Pastor KL, that brother Al, that Pastor Ed, that Dwayne, they helped to make Stephanie who she is today. If had not had them 30 years ago, I would not be who I am today. It's not just God, it's who God puts in your life. And I give God thanks that I can actually sit and learn. Even as a woman, I can hear some of the things that they say, and I can pass that information along. We can leave this out there for other men their age to reflect on, and men who have not quite reached that age. We've got Terrence, who's younger than them, who's on this platform listening each day. We've got Serge on this platform listening each day. We've got Daquan who comes on, and these are guys that are younger. But my prayer is that you can listen to some of the stuff that was said and really have some takeaways, and know these are men of God that really have been able to become wiser because they're in the Lord. There's the wisdom that you get in the Lord is nothing like the wisdom you don't get when you have not given God your life. So I encourage you, allow whoever it is in your life who hasn't quite reached 50 years old to just listen to this episode. And everybody's takeaway is going to be different. Sean, he's not their age. Every takeaway is going to be different. Every single takeaway will be different. And you just don't want to miss that. Okay? You've been watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Join us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. where we discuss matters of the heart, mind, and spirit. As you go through your day, be sure to set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on the earth. They will only serve as a distraction. Remember, prayer changes things. It's Pastor Steph signing off, and I want to thank my Due Time crew, the men, for always sending us into a thought-provoking weekend. Thank you for hanging out with us and keeping that chat room live. Please do not miss the opportunity to give Christ your life right now, and please don't miss that opportunity to strengthen that relationship with the Lord right now. Even though you may have given God your life, you need to strengthen that relationship. It can always get better. Sunday is a holiday and we will not be in our prayer room, but God spares. Monday morning, we will be here shaking the Monday morning blues all over again. Until then, I love you.